Good afternoon and welcome to Monza, always a staple of the Grand Prix circuit. Every year since 1950, along with the British Grand Prix, there has been an Italian Grand Prix, and Monza plays host, and the Tifosi will be hopeful here today. The showdown as the championship heads towards its final few races. This is going to be a point in which we settle and really get going in the World Championship of 2020. Here today, the message is simple for our championship leader, Valtteri Bottas. Finish ahead of Lewis Hamilton to increase his gap. Lewis Hamilton, he has it all to do, but the grid is set and everybody is patiently waiting. 24-point gap that Valtteri Bottas has, the championship leader, and the pressure is firmly sitting on the Finland racing driver. The grid for today, well, what a grid and what a qualifying session we had yesterday. Charles Leclerc, hopeful of a home win for the Tifosi. He's first with Lewis Hamilton second. Bottas is behind and Vettel is fourth. Hector Gonzalez in the Ravenwest is fifth. What an improvement they made, and Perez is in the racing point behind them. Kimi Raikkonen does well up to ninth for Formula Ferrari driver, and great support he's going to get here. Antonio Giovinazzi is 14th, the Italian coming in. Mick Schumacher makes it up to 18th ahead of Romain Grosjean and George Russell. And at the back of the grid today is Nicholas Latifi and Kevin Magnussen, who has a 10-place grid penalty popping him all the way down. That is the lineup for this Italian Grand Prix, and we'll be right back after this. And at the 5 lights go out, Leclerc on your right, Hamilton on your left. Smoke banners out, the Italian Grand Prix is underway. It's a good start by Charles Leclerc, excellent start by Bottas. Looks like Gonzalez has got the better and is coming through. Gonzalez, and Hamilton's got through, has he? Get through into turns 1 and 2, Hamilton's through, and a fantastic start by Gonzalez, who's through into third place. Excellent start, green flag, everybody's underway. So the Ravenwest with a fantastic start, moving away off the grid. Wow, what a start. Well, let's have a look at the next race. He's having a look at the moment inside of Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Valtteri Bottas is sitting behind at the moment. Sebastian Vettel, who's just trying to have a move at the moment to find the way through. Not able to do so at the moment. But more importantly, from a British standpoint and where this World Championship's heading, that's magnificent at the moment. And wow, this is incredible at the moment. Well, the Ravenwest is tugging them in as they head through Ascari, and really good starts by Hamilton into the lead. First time they go to the Parabolica, they'll do it 13 times today. They'll come in and pit. That Honda-powered Ravenwest at the moment, taking a wider line than others through the Parabolica, but at the moment eyeing up Charles Leclerc. And the Ferrari Tifosi were really hopeful this was going to be their moment. It hasn't been. Hamilton has come through, and now even with no DRS, look at the drag and look at the performance of the Ravenwest. But at the moment, Leclerc will try to outbrake. Does he have enough? Because he'll squeeze him through. And with that, Hector Gonzalez should be able to power through as they make their way. Long sweeping turn 3 into second place. And just Hamilton ahead of him. Hamilton leads. Hector Gonzalez in the Ravenwest is second. He could be looking to really impress as time goes on. Leclerc is third. Vettel is fourth. But more importantly, Lewis Hamilton is pulling away of this man, second place Hector Gonzalez, who really needs to pick up the pace. He needs to chase down the current world champion. Well, this is the start, and that is on the inside at the moment. You're having a look at Vettel being passed, and then Gonzalez here though, just outbrakes going into turn 1, has got the inside line through turn 2 and is able to squeeze Valtteri Bottas through. And also I think Hamilton, if we'd love to get a replay of that from his start here, so here we go. This is Lewis Hamilton's start. Gets a great start, so does Charles Leclerc, who tries to come across off to the right to block him. Lewis Hamilton seems to realise this. just brakes late and uses contact between the two drivers, but just uses the fact that he was going in late to take it. There was contact, doesn't look to be damage at the moment. I wonder if the contact may have been the reason for Charles Leclerc, if he's got any damage. Hit the side panel of Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari, so I hope it's not going to be too damaging. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, it is. It may be suspension problems potentially for Charles Leclerc. That situation. Famously, Ferrari once hit a Williams in a European Grand Prix with a World Championship on the line, but Jack Fuel knows Williams survived, even though that the battery was hanging by the actual cables which it was stitched on with. And struggling to hang on to third place at the moment. Now DRS is opened up. Is Charles Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel comes through, but from Lewis Hamilton's standpoint, still be pleased to know that Bottas is 5th. Sergio Perez is 6th. Raikkonen up to 7th. An incredible drive in the Alfa Romeo in their home Grand Prix. Of course, traditionally Alfa Romeo used to also race in red, added Ferrari. Silver was for your German-based cars, red was for your Italian-based cars, and British Racing Green, well, for your British cars. But it's the Silver Arrow at the moment that leads the Grand Prix. A changed livery for 2020, and quite right too, and what a beautiful car it is. But there is another car that is giving chase, and is just starting to pull in a gap, that of 2nd and 3rd. Over that at 3rd and 4th through Ascari, goes slightly wide and takes a really tight line, and a lot of the other cars will use a lot of curve coming out the final turn into Ascari, up to the Parabolica. And now, is it a case of will Hector Gonzalez look to try and chase through? Valtteri Bottas on the other hand, well, he's got 2 Ferraris and a Ravenwest to get past, but he just knows that he needs to make sure Lewis Hamilton doesn't score too many points. At this rate, Hamilton will be closing the gap. As I said, this is race 12, 16 race season, so 4 more. So the World Championship really could be heading down to the wire. It could be an absolutely nail-biting season, but we'll be pleased that you're here to watch this and watch it live and exclusive. So if Hamilton keeps this, he will be the most successful race driver ever at Monza. Currently he's tied for 5 races apiece with Michael Schumacher, although Lewis Hamilton's won 4 with Mercedes and 1 with McLaren. Nelson Piquet is 2nd with 4. So Schumacher will go ahead of Michael Schumacher, who all of his races at the Italian Grand Prix, all of them were Ferrari. This is Bottas under the tunnel and braking late and just a left through Ascari again. He's starting to make up the gap at the moment on Charles Leclerc. Just isn't able at the moment to find the speed through. Well, there'll be an opportunity as they come through the Parabolica at the moment, and Charles Leclerc is starting to make a move on Sebastian Vettel. That may be a real opportunity for Valtteri Bottas to think about a move as they open up into the DRS trap. There's the line through there. That's going to give you another extra sort of 5 or 6 horsepower. It may sort of sound a lot, but it makes a huge difference, and as a result of that, through outbraking, Valtteri Bottas is just side by side with Sebastian Vettel, and Bottas has done it. He's used DRS to his advantage, and he's got through into 4th place. Charles Leclerc is 3rd, so Bottas starting to charge, Charles Leclerc taking full advantage of the DRS and flying through. But here is Lewis Hamilton, our race leader. Hamilton has got Speedy Gonzalez, and so the boys in the pit lane are calling him. I spoke to George Russell last night, and they were just saying that what a breath fresh, what a character that Hector Gonzalez is. Speedy Gonzalez, you know, that's the nickname they've given him, and there's no doubt about it, because he really is making up some distance on Lewis Hamilton, and he's sitting right on his gearbox. And they will fly through the Parabolica again. Long sweeping right hand turn. DRS will open at the end of it. The question is, does Gonzalez have enough room right behind him to think about a move? Like 6 of 13. After this lap, we will be through the halfway point of this Italian Grand Prix. And now we are watching Gonzalez getting really close to Lewis Hamilton. And I think there could be an opportunity of a passing point as they can make their way through turn 3. They've got to stay right on him. Through a left-hander, then a right-hander, then a right-hander, and right-hander again. And then upwards to 200 mile an hour. And before they head down to Ascari, DRS standing point here. So from Hector Gonzalez's standpoint, he's just got to play it cool. But as Jackie Stewart once said, chasing somebody is one thing, passing them is another. If you're chasing somebody and you make a mistake, 2, 3, 4, 5 laps, you can get that gap back up. If you're trying to defend the lead, you make a mistake, you'll lose it and you won't get it back. And as a famous broadcaster and a gentleman I knew used to say, catching somebody is one thing, passing them is another. But this will be the big opportunity as they head through around the outside. Opportunity now for Gonzalez, who decides now is the time to pit and change rubber. So I expect he's coming in early. I expect a lot of drivers are staying out a bit longer. He's on the softs at the moment. Just the Ravenwest pit crew out to receive him at the moment. As a result of that, Lewis Hamilton's gone comfortably into the lead. We're now watching Gonzalez to see what he's done here. I missed the compound of tyre, admittedly. It's mediums he's gone on to, so halfway through the race to do on a set of medium tyres. If the other drivers decide to go onto the harder compounds, this could be a stroke of genius for Gonzalez. Or how Lewis Hamilton needs to win. Just 2 race wins this season. So unlucky with engine failures and some disastrous decisions made by his pit crew. Right here though, Lewis is doing everything he can and he's in control of the race at the moment. What he needs to do is to make sure he can keep things as they are and keep the man sandwiched between the 2 Ferraris, Valtteri Bottas, where he is. But I suspect flying through the parabolica, Lewis Hamilton may be thinking about darting right and heading into pits. Very short pit straight that we have here, and indeed Lewis Hamilton does come in. Decides that is the moment to do so. He's going to be joined, I believe, by one of the Ferraris. We shall have a look at what it is. Now Lewis Hamilton, oh, he's been held up because flying in. Oh, Lewis Hamilton was held up there. Well, that could prove really, really well here for Gonzalez. And Hamilton is out. But Lewis Hamilton finds himself at the moment behind the Ravenwest. So as they all come through the pits, that's another bit of rotten luck for Lewis Hamilton. It really is. But you can't deny Gonzalez, who's had a magnificent season. This Ravenwest has continued to improve. You know, talk about some of the sponsors that they may be getting next season. I've heard there's a TV production company that might be interested. We'll have to wait and see, but you know, it's about as real as it can get at the moment, this Grand Prix, and maybe that's the cue for the sponsors. Still, we're watching AlphaTauri at the moment, racing away. Nicolas Latifi, and he's just getting up close to the gearbox. We're watching some of the back markers race through. There's Alex Albon through there. Full calm, sort of looking parabolica. The one thing today I would point out is we've not seen a lot of the Red Bulls, so the Red Bulls themselves haven't been a real influence in this Grand Prix. Now here is a man who's very much an influence on this Grand Prix as the rest of the come in. Giovinazzi leads, Sainz is second, Gonzalez there is up to third, Hamilton is fourth. This is lap 9, 13 laps. Italian Grand Prix at Monza. All the points at stake at the moment. If Giovinazzi and Sainz pit, which they're due to, Gonzalez would go into first, Hamilton second, Leclerc would get third, Bottas would get fourth. So it was all key moments. Well, Charles Leclerc would have thought after he took pole that might have been a repeat of last season in which he won. It wasn't to be, sadly. But what a performance he did have. Top speed of these cars that they are going to do today as they head towards the Parabolica will be around about 215 miles an hour. An astonishing amount of speed, which means these cars do not have as much downforce, they do not have as much grip. And Lewis Hamilton knows he needs to produce 4 laps of excellence to chase down Gonzalez, who's just gone a bit wide. And that may have been just a couple of tenths. Lewis Hamilton may be able to get back. And this Grand Prix at the moment is starting to come to the boil. It's been simmering for a while. Not been the sort of overtaking action that you'd come to expect sometimes at Monza. But it is just starting to get to the, well, squeaky bum time, one might say. The really interesting parts. Bottas in 4th. Ferrari ahead of them is Charles Leclerc. So Ferrari on for a pole. Gonzalez still leads. Hamilton will be hoping to get within a DRS passing point. If he can do that, well, that changes his Grand Prix dramatically, because then all of a sudden is there. Here's Esteban Ocon, and ahead of him is Giovinazzi and Albon. And I tell you what, that is a fantastic bit of driving by the Frenchman. Locked up his front right, but oh wow, what a bit of driving that was. Albon looks to come back, he's got the better line. Does Esteban Ocon have anything to get past Alex Albon? Another opportunity to outbrake him, but Albon has held off. Well, and with all that, oh, look at this. Looks to be a problem. And, oh, goodness gracious me. Esteban Ocon is out. And, well, that's going to bring out the safety car. So, Lewis Hamilton has been bringing up this gap. Now, the safety car is deployed, which means we're going to have all the cars bunch up, all of them settle down, and when we do, wow, wow, wow. Look at this. Look at this. Well, well, as we wait for the cars to back themselves up the safety car, just a couple of things to let you know that what is going on at the moment. So, news for you to bring with the series at the moment, that in the latest team summits, hybrid V10s are being called for 2021. So, we could be seeing and hearing proper sounding news. With this as well, just another rumour that potentially Frank Williams is holding discussions at the moment with Jaguar, would you believe it? If that's the case, and V10 seem to be interesting that of Jaguar, and my words, that could be interesting. Right, news from race control at the moment that DRS is disabled, so there will be no more DRS for the rest of this race. Now, with that, this is where things get very, very interesting. Lewis Hamilton, if he can get past Hector Gonzalez, who deserves to win this race purely on the pace, started 5th and up to 1st. If that was the case, well then, Lewis Hamilton's championship would really be set up. But however, things are never guaranteed in motorsport. Bottas, championship leader by 24 points, is in 4th place. Lewis Hamilton knows just about everything he has. He's got to get past Gonzalez. If he can do that, well, there is every opportunity that this could be his bigger chance. Of course, we will be back next year as confirmed here on the CW Virtual Sports Commentator channel for more Grand Prix racing. So, while there has been competition from other channels, you need look no further. Motor racing itself is ready to go. The safety car is in. We're back underway in racing. And we've got 2 flying laps to settle the Italian Grand Prix. And there will be no DRS. So this is going to be on how your car is built Old-fashioned aerodynamics, old-fashioned driver skill could well be a factor in today. Hamilton doing well to hold off Charles Leclerc, who looked to try and send one into turn 1, wasn't able to do so. But Gonzalez here is absolutely flying. And Lewis Hamilton is starting to come back through the chicane section. Now it is time for Gonzalez, who leads this race. Has got Lewis Hamilton, who's made a magnificent start. Really is starting to put on the pressure, trying to find a way past Gonzalez. And Gonzalez hangs on. Hamilton behind Gonzalez again. Will Lewis Hamilton look to make his move through the parabolica? There's an opportunity at the moment for Valtteri Bottas trying to get past Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc goes on the inside and tries to hold him off as they dive through Ascari. And now Hamilton sits on the gearbox at the moment and tries to make a move round the outside. Will Lewis Hamilton make a move round the outside? Oh, defensive driving indeed, but Hamilton's on the switchback. Yes, Hamilton's in the lead. Lewis Hamilton is through and is leading the Italian Grand Prix by the barest of margins, and we reach the last lap of this Grand Prix. Side by side these two drivers, and this is so close, and Hamilton now is having to show all that driver skill, all that defensive ability to hold off a phenomenal performance at the moment by Gonzalez, who gave it everything into turns 1 and 2. Up through another chicane second, left and right, 70 mile an hour they've been doing. What you do on a motorway, they've just blown through on that chicane. Valtteri Bottas is trying to make a move past on Gonzalez, and Gonzalez is doing everything to hang on, and Bottas knows for the championship he's got to get past Gonzalez and put the pressure on Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton pulling away in the Grand Prix. Gonzalez is past him also, and we're getting closer and closer to the finale of this brilliant Italian Grand Prix. I told you this was simmering. This isn't coming to the boil. This is well and truly on fire for the final time for Ascari, and now will be an opportunity. Will this be the opportunity for Bottas to get past Gonzalez? Hamilton's done so well to pull away, and Charles Leclerc is in 4th place. Bottas is trying to make a move round the parabolica. Lewis Hamilton's going to come home, and he's going to win the Italian Grand Prix. Who's going to get second? It's going right to the wire. It's Bottas, Gonzalez, and Gonzalez takes it. Gonzalez has got it. Head to Gonzalez second. Hamilton though wins. What an important win.
Get in there, Lewis. You are the man.
I love you guys. I love driving the car. I love this track. I'm so happy, man. I'm so appreciate everything you've done for me. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was just a bit special, the finale of that. This was it. They collided through the parabolic at 170 mile an hour. And how did Gonzalez find that? Just enough to come through and hold him off by the line. He's won by about 1.5 meters, I think, when the line was crossed. Well, Lewis Hamilton, race winner of the Italian Grand Prix, victorious in the British Grand Prix also, and before that. And he is the most successful driver ever at Monza in the Italian Grand Prix. And the Petronas Mercedes side is absolutely delighted with this. They've got 1st and 3rd. Gonzalez is definitely a force to be reckoned to in 2nd place. Hamilton takes the trophy, takes the champagne. A spray, as we said, of the technical race engineer there, Ewan McIntyre. But wow, what a performance by Lewis Hamilton today. He was absolutely brilliant, and when it really counted as produced. But you got to feel for Gonzalez. Well, as we look at the race results, Gonzalez himself has got the bonus point for the fastest lap in the race. The only other driver to get in the 123s other than Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton takes 25 points, so he's closed the gap by 10 points on that of Valtteri Bottas. Charles Leclerc, what a disaster for him. Started 1st and he's finished 6th. Vettel and Perez both getting through, so wonderful points that is for Racing Point. And Lando Norris gets 7th for the McLaren. Max Verstappen, sadly, in that Red Bull Racing has slipped back. Carlos Sainz 4th on the final point. 2nd Racing Point, Lance Stroll. Mick Schumacher 16 in Ravenwest Motorsports. Be pleased with that performance. Esteban Ocon retired, and as a result, Daniel Ricciardo also last. As for the championship, well, It's 14 points now, the difference between the two, and we've got 4 races to go. This really is going to the wire. Whatever you do, don't discount Hector Gonzalez. He's 41 points at the moment off the lead. A couple of race wins and a poor performance. He'll be right up there. As a result of that move, Charles Leclerc has dropped down to 4th place. Max Verstappen remains 5th. Sebastian Vettel is 6th. But the day belongs to Lewis Hamilton, who has produced a magnificent drive to get him into prime position to challenge for the championship. For Valtteri Bottas, it's going to be a nervy couple of weeks to our next Grand Prix here on the CW Virtual Sports Commentator channel. And that's when we're heading to the USSR, to Russia. From a constructor's standpoint, well, Mercedes potentially could seal their championship standings. A 99-point lead. Ferrari remains 2nd and Red Bull 3rd. Ravenwest 4th. And the performance themselves entirely at the moment belongs to that of Hector Gonzalez, who's responsible for all but 2 at the moment of Ravenwest Motorsports' points that they have accrued this season. McLaren remain 5th, and after their excellent performance, Racing Point have jumped ahead of Renault into 6th as Renault dropped down to 7th. And still, sadly, Williams, the great Williams, are in last place without any points. Well, I still have the voice, and I've got great memories of an excellent Italian Grand Prix that we have seen here today. It was close racing, but the most important standpoint is the championship is well and truly alive. It could be a 3-way dance to settle the Formula World Champion of 2020. How will you know who's going to win it? Well, tune in next week as we head to Russia for the Russian Grand Prix. But from all of us, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Good night.